Hello?
So you've talked to me before?
Who?
You.
I have not talked to you. I don't even know who you are.
Well, you said that that you knew that I told you that Wade was guilty,
I'm
that I've
sorry?
known all along. On Coral's Live, you said that I told you that I've known all along that I was guilty, that Wade was guilty. So,
What is your name? I don't even know your name.
Courtney.
Okay, Courtney, I have never said that about you. I know a bunch of Wade's friends because I did talk to them. None of them say good things about him, but I don't know you. I don't even recognize you. I never said anything about
Well,
you. I don't know anything about you. But a lot of his friends do think he's guilty. I mean, if you're one of them, that's great. But if you're not, that's good too. Who cares? He's on death row. He's where he's supposed to be.
yeah, and you're supposed to be his fiance.
No, I'm not supposed to be his fiance. I will be straight up with you. When he started hitting on me, and I felt really bad for what is his fiance's name? What is her name? Jessie?
No.
Jessie? Is that her name?
Yeah, but you felt so bad that you continued to talk to him and tell
No,
him
I only
that
talked
he
to him.
can't be.
No,
No,
I
no,
only
no, 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 no.
talked.
We've
Look,
heard
you
all the
don't know the full
calls. We've
story.
heard
You
all the
don't know the
calls.
full. No one knows the full story because I didn't talk to him for a very long time. That all those calls that were posted, that was the first fucking day I ever spoke to him, and he was talking to me like that. And before I spoke to him, I spoke to Jesse. Jesse is the one that reached out to me on Instagram. I didn't reach out to them; they reached out to me. And when I talked to Jesse, I felt like, oh, I didn't know the full story about Wade and what all he had done because I didn't really do any research and I wasn't really paying attention to the media. So when I talked to Jessie, I thought, okay, this girl's, she seems pretty
Hold
nice.
on.
She's trying to free her boyfriend. And I really, truly, truly felt bad for her because she was talking about like they had wedding plans, they had a house picked out, and that they were going to use the money that they were raising for their wedding and to get a house. And she was looking for like free representation, but good representation. And she was just, saying all this thing like she has this huge plan for them. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. That's nice. So when I was talking to Wade, I knew he was being flirtatious with me. And I have a thing where if I see a male being flirtatious with me and that is like taken, I will tell the girl because I think that is so disrespectful. And I knew for a fact if I acted like I liked him, he would go along with it. And he did. He fell for the fucking trap. And then I actually recorded that call. I was recording it and I played it back to Jessie. And I told Jessie that. And she jumped down my throat. She was freaking out about the whole thing. And she was like, oh, you tempted him and stuff like that. But no, I didn't. That was all him.
So you felt so bad for her that you had phone sex with him and
I
told
didn't
him
have
that
phone
you had
sex with him.
sucked
I
the
told him
soul
I
out of
can't do
him.
that with him.
But you continued.
I kept egging him on,
Talking
yeah,
to him.
because I wanted to get evidence for Jesse. First of all, I don't like tattoo guys. I don't like guys who don't have jobs. I don't like guys who are in jail. Wade does not appeal to me. I don't think he's an attractive person. And also he's a murderer. So that kind of like, makes him even worse. But I only talked to him for, let's see, about 3 days maybe. And then when all that stuff started, I cut them off completely and I stopped talking to them. I blocked their number. I blocked the jail number because he kept hitting me up. He kept calling me nonstop. And then he kept messaging me on the jail mail thing. And I actually ended up having to delete my account.
So, but you told him that he can't be all the way Team Ari
Yeah, I did
if
tell him
he's
that
got a
because I knew
fiance.
he
So you
was
were
going,
trying to
I knew
get
what
him
he
to
was
break
going to,
up
he
with
would
his
throw Jesse
fiance.
under the bus. And I felt bad for this girl because she was spending her life savings for
No.
him. You don't understand what all the things that she told me she was doing for this guy. And I didn't want her to waste her time or her money because he uses people. That's what he does. And I wanted her to open her eyes because she seemed like a nice person when I first talked to her, but as all this stuff has came out, obviously she's just as manipulative as him. She's like the female version of Wade. So, when I first met her, not met her, but when I first talked to her, she seemed like a very nice person. And I really truly felt bad for her. Like, I have no interest in Wade. I'm engaged, and I was engaged then, but I'm married now. So I have absolutely no interest in Wade. My husband knew the whole thing. I told him what I was doing, told him I was getting evidence for her. He had no problem with it. And I didn't have phone sex with him. I told him I couldn't do that with him. And then that's when I got off of the phone with him. If you listen to the full call, I actually got off the phone with him. And then he called me back a couple of hours later. And I don't know if this phone call has been released yet, but like, he told me that he broke up with Jesse. And I don't know if that one's been released yet, but obviously they didn't break up because they were talking, and she was talking about how, you know, he was being flirtatious with me because she's seen the emails. Just, you know.
So I got a question. You're the real Ari, right? You're claiming you're the real Ari?
My name is Ari. I mean, I'm not going to tell my full name because everybody has assumed that I'm some girl named, what is Jesse's sister's name? Kayla or Kaylee? Is it Kaylee?
Kaylee.
Kaylee,
So
okay.
If you are who you claim you are.
I'm sorry?
If you are who you claim you are, turn your camera on.
No, because I don't want to be identified. No one has identified me yet.
Yeah, but aren't you an attorney?
Excuse me?
Aren't you an attorney?
I am actually, and you guys still haven't identified me. No one has identified me.
To hire you. I mean, your picture has to be on Google if this is the real you.
It is on Google, but you don't know my full name. Ari is just my nickname. That is not my full name.
Ariel Ratisma.
Nope, that's not me. I'm not her. I'm not Monica. I'm not
That's the name on the bar card. That's the name on the bar card.
That's a fake bar card. That's not my bar card. I don't know who made that, but that was on like Reddit. That's not my bar card.
Can I jump in for a second?
First of all, no attorney in their right mind would send their bar card out to a complete stranger.
No attorney in their right mind would talk the way you talk to Wade on the phone either.
Well, first of all, I don't just practice law. I had a company. I'm in the entertainment industry. I have a big company, and I do this on the side. So I'm not your typical attorney or whatever, but I did go to law
what
school.
You were saying to Duty Ron. I remember listening to that phone call.
Yeah, he was stupid. He acts like he knows. Yeah, he's stupid.
No,
he's not intelligent at all.
Christy, go ahead, Christy, jump in.
Guys, can I jump in here? Okay, thank you. Hi, Ari.
Hi.
Hi, Ari. How are you? Okay, so I just have, let me know if you can answer a couple of questions for us.
Okay.
First of all, on the call, there was mention of a guy named Chris. Did you connect to Wade through this guy named Chris?
Yeah, I did. Chris is the guy that he dated.
Oh, okay. So you connected through the guy he dated. Now, Jessie said she knew Chris. So how did Jessie know Chris? Because from what I understand, Chris doesn't like Wade because Wade tried to STAB him. So
I mean, I don't know anything about that, but I know that he did hook up with Chris. I don't know if there was I don't think he stabbed. Maybe it's a different Chris because I don't think he stabbed him. He never told me that. If he did, I don't think Chris probably wouldn't be talking to him if, he stabbed him, but.
Yeah, there was definitely a domestic violence thing. And Kelly has stated several times that Chris has an issue with him and that Chris would be speaking in any documentaries against Wade. So
yeah, it's probably a different Chris. It's probably a different. I don't think that it's the same Chris because I can tell you right now, the Chris that I know would never connect or continue to be in contact with someone who stabbed him. He stabbed somebody, really?
Could you just tell me what color hair he has?
What color of hair does Chris have?
Yeah,
brown.
Okay. All right. And then as far as Jessie, did Jessie connect you to Chris or did Chris connect you to Jessie?
Chris connected to Jessie and told her about me. And then Jessie messaged me on Instagram.
Okay. And
I thought you said you reached out. You said you reached out to her.
I didn't reach out to her. She reached out to me. These people reached out to me. It was all through Chris. Chris started the whole thing. Chris knew Jessie and Wade. He was friends with Wade. He hooked up with Wade. Chris used to live in Florida, and he used to work at that same, like in Key West with Wade or something like that. I don't know if it was like a resort or something like that, but that's how they met. And they used to hook up. And then he told Jessie about me, and then Jesse contacted me on Instagram, and then we exchanged phone numbers, and she called me the next day, and I talked to her, and then she was she was wanting me to call Wade and talk to him, and that was just it. I mean, she connected to me, she came to me.
I thought in the phone calls, Shannon knew you.
Who?
I thought Shannon knew you in the phone
I don't
calls.
know who Shannon is. I don't know who Shannon is. I don't know who Kaylee is. I don't know who Monica is. I don't know if any of these people have anything to do with it.
Okay, so
I have
when
one
you
more.
connected, I'm sorry.
No,
sorry?
I'm driving, so I just have one more question before I mute myself.
Sure.
The Innocence Project denies being in contact with you and having anything to do with you.
Well, I know personally Barry Sheck, and he's going to say something like that because I told him I didn't want to be involved with this. I told him this is going to be a shitstorm
There we go.
media.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
I don't mind if he says he's not connected to me because I know the truth. I sponsor that organization, sweetheart. I give the check to that organization. The reason that organization is still running is because of me. I mainly sponsor them rather than practice law. I give money so they can practice these cases, so they can take one case a year.
That's weird.
Okay, but you know that the Innocent Project doesn't take one case per year. You know that, right?
They do take one case per year. They take one
No,
to two.
That's incorrect.
Yes, they
That's
do.
incorrect. If you go to their website, it says clearly right on there, and if you just use Google, it'll tell you they don't take one case per year.
Yes, they do.
That's incorrect.
They take one
It's
death
just-
penalty case per year.
Okay, well, now you're saying death penalty.
Yeah, they do.
Death penalty.
One death penalty case per year, and that's why Wade and Jesse contacted me because Chris knew I sponsored them, and I do have a law degree, but I mean I don't practice in the court of law. I only got a law degree to help me in business, and so I wouldn't,
Okay.
I'm sorry. What is that noise?
I understand that part. I can understand that you don't practice the law. Can you tell us about the money that you mentioned on the phone? You kept saying that you had put up all this money.
Yeah,
What was the money for if the
because-
intention was for him to be pro bono?
Yeah, because this is what I do. This is what I do for the Innocence Project. I give the money so they can take cases for free. I sponsor them. It's one of the charities that I do. And for a case like Wade's a death penalty case, it costs about over $600K to be that. So you got to have specialists, you got to have doctors, you got to have attorney fees because it's not just one attorney working on the case. It's multiple attorneys working on the case. And yes, I wrote a check because this was before I knew the whole story and before I should have checked him out more. That was dumb of me. He seemed like he's very manipulative and he seems like, he can easily fool people. He's like a chameleon. And I gave the Innocence Project, Barry, I gave him the check and I told him, I'm going to sponsor this guy. You should take the case. And they were going to take the case. And then we did all this research about him and Barry told me about it. And that's when I was like, okay, we've got to back off because there's no way he's going to win a case because his story makes absolutely
You're muted. You're muted, Ari, or whatever.
I'm sorry. Adrian had another call. What did you say?
Okay. Okay. So you were basically going to sponsor by putting up the money for the DP case.
Yes.
Okay. Now you mentioned that there would be a phone call with Barry on it.
Yes.
So you're saying that Barry, the founder of the Innocence Project, got on the phone with Wade Wilson?
No, he didn't. He was going to when we were going to take the case, but he ended up after he did his research, after his colleague Peter did the research about Wade, they talked to me. They're like, we cannot take this case. This man is clearly guilty. There is nothing to prove his innocence because he listened to all these, all the TikToks, all the research online. And then he told me that he was not going to have anything to do with him. And I was about to tell Wade that, but before I could tell Wade that, he was hitting on me.
Okay, so when you spoke to Wade, the initial contact was with Wade that you were going to possibly sponsor the case and that you were going to take on the case, and then you presented it to Barry, and then Barry said he couldn't do anything with this case.
Yes, Barry originally said that he was going to take the case after I gave him the money. I gave him the money for the case, and then after that, that's when the research starts. That's when he was doing his research on the case, and then he came back to me. He called me literally the day after I talked to Wade, and it was a Sunday, and he said to me, I can't take this case. He's like, because this man is clearly guilty. He's like, I don't believe in his innocence. He said, I only take cases where I believe in the person's innocence. There's nothing to prove his innocence. His story makes absolutely no sense. He's clearly admitted that he's did it to everybody on these calls and, you know, to the cops. And he said, I just cannot take the case. And he gave me the money back. And I was about to tell Jesse and Wade, but before I could do that, that's when he started flirting with me. But I did write Wade an email telling him that we were not going to take his case and we were not interested.
Okay, now as far as the case itself, he was not even, first of all, when you spoke to him, he hadn't even, correct me if I'm wrong, he had not received the DP yet, or he had?
Right.
Okay. So when you spoke to him, he hadn't received DP yet, which means he would have had to have at least appealed it. And that we know takes at least like 10 to 15 years. So when would you be taking this case on if the appeals process hadn't even gone through yet?
But that's the thing. We didn't take his case officially.
Right, but why would you be looking at it if it's not even in the stage of being reviewed?
Well, Barry does that. Barry is the main attorney. He would be doing all those things for him. Like, I wouldn't be Wade's attorney. I would just be assisting on the case and sponsoring the case.
I really find it hard to believe that the founder of this company, this worldwide, I wouldn't say worldwide, but they have locations in every state.
Yeah, they do. And Barry is a really good friend of mine, and he's a good friend of my husband's. And I actually took a class where he was teaching. Barry used to teach, and he was one of my professors before he founded the Innocence Project. Oh, actually, he had the Innocence Project while he was teaching, and that's how I know him. We became really good friends.
You're muted. You're muted.
Why would she tell him that she had to marry him to represent him if she's not even a practicing lawyer?
That's a good question.
Very
I don't
good
remember her
question.
saying that. She said she had to marry him?
Yes.
Yeah, hold on, we have to get a quarter.
Why would she
On
have
the
to marry
very
him?
last one, she had to marry him to be able to represent him.
She went out.
Why would she have to marry him to represent him? That doesn't even make any sense.
That is, yeah, that's
She's all right, please.
Let's see if she's gonna come back or not.
I doubt it.
Yeah, let's see if she
Like
comes back.
that.
Now she's gonna come
The
back.
voice
and
sounds
say
different
she's
to
gonna
me.
come
It
off.
does sound really different.